Okay.
All right. If you
Of,
don't.
of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And then when this thing starts, it's going to be hearing everything. So don't say anything incriminating, okay?
About you.
About anybody. So, but it's going to start in like 5 minutes.
Very kind of you to be concerned about my being incriminated.
Okay, 3 copies of the whole thing.
I said to tomorrow night, yes, but I saw because
1 minute. That sounds good.
You
But
want a name flag?
Yeah.
It's Diane.
That I'm talking about? You think?
She's already
She's got a disabled husband?
I don't have it.
No, this is you know.
I'm gonna just talk about art,
So that's a no.
but otherwise.
All right, I'll fix that, okay.
Tomorrow night.
Wednesday night. You said.
Oh, so it's a no?
Because I'm the
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
We can
I love that email.
But I thought that should be on the.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
From here, I'm going over to the beach. Oh, no.
No, I'm going to buy wine. I'm gonna have my hair done, and then go buy wine, and that's it.
How was the night? And where were you?
I chose,
Top. I like it then. I like the top.
but the,
Yeah, I know, but this is.
I don't have.
We got lucky.
I said to her, I said, oh, yeah. It was good, different than you did, but nothing
Where? I love I love it there. I don't mind.
find something else. When we go to you on the Tuesday.
That's your day off. My car. Jim. Jim. Can I ask you, for this distinguished lecturer series that we're doing with APU, because they practice at the Abbey, should we not invite the Abbey people? I mean, not
See what the response is for the first one for our folks. I mean, and what I'm saying is, if we get a full house.
yeah, but nobody has invited residents' family or close friends. That we should be minimal.
Yeah,
We won't get the room.
Yeah, no, let's talk through that, all right? That's very well.
Well, I mean, we're
Yeah.
only 2 weeks.
I know.
All right. And then the question of doing a reception for him right after. Wine only. I wouldn't do anything else.
Is that something to get the foundation to,
Well,
or just do it for the series?
just for the series only.
Yeah.
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 I would think it's minimal. It's going to
Yeah.
be minimal.
Yeah.
Can I left you a message yesterday?
I didn't even have a phone yesterday.
Oh, okay. What happened?
I know. I said, you want to sit on my knee?
No. I wanted to talk about the thing on March 30th.
Ron's going to cover it thoroughly.
Oh, so I shouldn't. I was going to say that I met with you and.
I wouldn't bother. Unless you want to, because.
No, I mean, I was making my report, so I wanted to say
All
the
right,
things
then you
that I
can.
did.
All right, but you know what we need to do then is I need to send you an official note asking that we add a new category, which might be the Brain Health Institute, Harbor's Edge. Brain Health
So maybe I
Institute.
should do it the next time.
Yeah, I would.
I won't mention.
Okay, I would do it after.
Okay.
Because, excuse me, that's just what I was talking to Jim about, making sure that we have a full house. I mean, if we don't have a
Well, I was
robust
gonna
house.
mention it that we did that, but.
But you can, you can.
I'll just
More-
mention it
yeah.
and I'll say.
I will.
We were going to work together with the foundation, with Nancy, who's the head of health and wellness. Is
Right,
that right?
that is correct.
That's what I wanted to
Yes.
check. And that we, if you're a donor. So did you donor? I should say that, okay. And that we have on the program with. Thank you. And like the guys that have it written down.
Yeah, Isaac.
It was just 2 sentences,
Yeah.
but I wanted to
Thank you.
make sure it was okay with you. And
Anything
whatever.
you do is okay with me. Weren't you disappointed in the turnout Friday night at Arts Festival? I looked around at so many empty seats for the
Because
opening night.
people, I
Still
have
not
friends,
coming out.
they don't. I said it's in a tent. It's like open.
Yeah, and I was very disappointed that Rosemary felt that she had to charge $160 for Nestor Torres. He's a $50 ticket wherever I see him at the Black Box or in Arts
Are
Garage.
you're a patron? So am I. But it used to be you got the tickets for free.
That's
no?
right, no more. I mean, I don't.
It's $150 for each ticket that
Well,
I buy or whatever.
I made the big mistake of ordering
Every ticket.
and I've got 5 people coming on Saturday, or at $100 a piece out of my pocket. I said to her, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, I think it's an issue. I want to be supportive, but. No. James, and Howard. I saw Howard come in. Here, Howard. Yeah, too much going on.
How was the, play?
Yeah, would you share that with, all right, and I told Mary and I got this check. I want 2 of them. One is going to go on the council and one for no. Do make sure he gets it, Marion sees it, and Marion knows I got it. I don't care who wears it, nobody wears it. But we just get a copy of it.
So you wanted for the publicity and her own, she has her own. So this would go back to you.
If Marion wants to wear it, be my thing. I don't know. I don't want to step on Marion's toes because I think she's doing a good job of reaching out. And so let her have, I told her I'd put that in her.
Can I get them large enough?
An extra large. They do that to us. See what that, isn't that large? The extra large is very good. Because if I were buying it for myself, I'd buy the extra. Amazon. But I didn't know whether it's that if you talk to Marcia, what's it saying? All right, but anyway, she's the one that received it. She had it since made and she put it on Amazon. But I paid $20. I can't imagine they cost money unless she's putting it into the pot for petty cash for all right. Well, that's great. That's what Mary Mary told me that she was working on days and she was saying to me like as she was walking by, I said, Mary, I don't think that way. Right? If I'm not sitting with paper in the pen, I won't remember. So you do that. How do you feel today?
I'm okay. Does would tuna like his leftover sweet potato biscuits?
That.
This is really nice, thank you, but it's last year's.
Yeah, but the Congress just ended.
Yeah, but it's the 2022 legislation.
This is when you would have this, and then they add on the second hand. Remember that? But this is
Where'd you
where
get
this
this?
is it. Where'd I get it? One of my pals in City Hall. I mean,
Because I'm on his mailing list.
I never got it. Mail list. No, I got it from City Hall. I was interested in this for the work I'm doing on the passports. That's why I was given it. But I'm trying to figure out what you want to do with him. I mean, if he can do this
He's
and
gone.
that.
He's history.
Yeah. So,
He's history with us. He doesn't represent us anymore.
well, but I think he's still going to be active in terms of legislature.
Well, I think I can get him to come and tell us what the legislature.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get your guy
Well, that's up to you.
because he's the new representative for us,
All right.
right?
Yeah. And I don't know much about him. I'll find out.
Let's find out how we can make the arrangements, and I'll make them. But, I mean, to bring Caruso, he's like a yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock and I believe we will get started. Appreciate all of you coming. And we'll start as we do traditionally with Nina Early.
If possible, please stand while we observe a moment. Oh. A moment of silence in honor and memory of those residents of Harbor's Edge, both friends and neighbors, who passed since the last meeting. Mary Miller, Phyllis Lynn, Bob Levinson.
Thank you. I think we'll start today with a report from Jim Horsman.
Take me by surprise. Let me borrow a microphone. Yes, okay. Everybody can hear me? Stand in front, is that it? Okay. I'm an easier target that way, right? Okay. But I need my book.
It's being taped.
All right, well, I'm excited today. I just got word from my bank, they approved my loan so I can fill up my gas tank in my car. All right, just a few things in all seriousness. I'm going to ask Chris to come up in a moment and kind of give an update on some of the projects we have going on, especially the back gate. All right, and then Chaz is going to speak to some changes we have from a food and beverage perspective that are all for the good. I just wanted to give a highlight real quickly. Oh, I have to be in front of the computer. Oh, that's right. We're filming. Ta-da. All right, just a sales update real quickly. February, we had one closing. We had 7 deposits. So thank you, everybody, for your help in getting those deposits in. For March, we are forecasting 3 closings and anywhere between 4 and 7 deposits again. So we're off to a really good start. Depending on attrition, we should be close to 90% occupancy, which is, I think, the first time I've seen that happen in at least 5 years. So again, moving along very well. We have a job fair set up for next Saturday. All right, we're going to try a Saturday job fair to see if we can get more people in. All right. It's still a big challenge as it relates to getting quality staff hired. All right. So we'll continue to do that, and we will be starting our Atlantic High School internship program again on April 1st. So you'll see some new faces in the restaurant and in the dining room. And there'll be students from Atlantic High School that are actually in the culinary program and will be interning. And this is a great program because not only is it the right thing to do, but we've actually picked up 2 part-time servers through this program. So it's a nice little pipeline. Really, that's kind of the update I have for today. All right, Chris, if you would come up, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a couple of things to bring up. The gate. Okay, every week I'm in touch with the contractors. Yesterday I got a text in large letters. They're getting the crew back hopefully Wednesday, Thursday of this week for the back gate. So bear in mind, I am actually working on this fully. I'm just the messenger. Please bear with me. But he knows that every week I'm on the phone Friday and Monday with them, and I get a message back like that. They won't even take my calls now. So I get a message, I'm dealing with texts, but I'm working on it. Chairs. Has everybody seen the new chair? Well, not the new chairs, the reupholstery of the chairs. They're looking really, really nice. That's going to be an ongoing project with the contractor that we found, and he's reliable. We actually found a reliable contractor, so I'm pleased with that. Work orders for February. This is actually very interesting for everybody. Couple that together with the new work order TELS system that we have. That is actually, we've hit the ground running on that. We really have. On Tuesday, it's a little bit belated now, but on Tuesday, 120 work orders, 40% of those were hours. This is in the new system, but we're working on that. But last month, a staggering 1,539 work orders were put in for February. The same day, 64% of those were done the same day. That is a phenomenal workload for these guys to deal with. The analysis on the same day, and sorry, I got that wrong. Perhaps I put my eyes in, I suppose. So 80.2% on the same day. That is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal for these guys. And I know Sean, my maintenance lead, he pushes these guys hard, but at the same time, rod of iron, velvet glove. And it works out very well. We've got a very highly motivated team with us. And today we just have started a part-time painter as well. So we can start getting all these little niggly little chips and dents and all that sort of stuff that we've got around the community. We can start getting those done as well. And also on that basis, completed is 72.4% over the period. Now, that doesn't mean to say we haven't completed them all. It just takes a little bit of time. And then maybe 1 or 2 delays. Purely and simply, we found the delays is parts. We've still got this nightmare of parts issue all the time. The last thing, in fact, that's pretty much it, all I have. And a lot of people ask me, why isn't Karen answering the phone? Karen's actually off sick right now. She should be back Wednesday, Thursday. So we're fielding all the calls for Karen as well. So, but she's doing well, but other than that, she should be back Wednesday. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Right. You got a better applause than I did. All right. Before Chaz comes up, I just want to share with everyone, please, 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 good, bad, or indifferent, fill out the comment cards when you're dining. I just want you to know the process, all right? And we're going to share this at April's town hall. I have Sonia, my assistant, get those comment cards out of a locked box every morning, and we track just not just the comments, but the scores. So we can see whether we're getting better, getting worse, staying the same, and so forth. And then we can react to various comments, okay? It's really important. I need that data. So if there are not pencils, if there are no pencils or comment cards, on your table, I want to know about it, all right? Because it's really important we get your feedback. This is how we continually get better at what we do. We're also putting together a process for comment cards as it relates to go, all right, and apartment delivery, all right? That's an area that we haven't really measured, and we need to measure that. So without any further ado, Chaz, would you be so kind?
Good morning. A couple of announcements for some new members that are going to be joining the team. You already know, but some new ones that will be starting in the next week and in the beginning of April as well. So a lot of you have met Chef Rod. He's been here for about the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, running the kitchen, doing an amazing job. And so he's been officially offered the position of executive chef here at Harbor's Edge. He's done things like responded to resident requests within 2 new menu cycles. So I had a discussion with a resident last week and they wanted to see short ribs, so they were on the menu. We had a resident that had a noodle kugel recipe that they offered. I said, why don't you give me the recipe? It was on the menu the next cycle. So he's been very responsive to that and doing a really good job. He's been patient with the team in the back, understanding there's a certain learning curve for everybody. But every day he comes in energized, ready to go, and he leaves at night the same way, which is a great sign. So he's currently up in Boston this week doing an on-site orientation as part of the Unidyne onboarding, and he will be back on Friday. So when you see him, congratulate him. We have a new director of dining services starting. She'll be starting. Her name is Courtney Roan. She comes from a background of some high-end resorts and hotels, and most recently, University of Virginia. But she's worked at the Boar's Head Inn. It's not made up of lunch meat, contrary to public belief. It's actually a very high-end resort in Virginia. While she was there, she was the recipient of the Wine Spectator Award of Excellence during the 5-year tenure. She's affiliated with the American Culinary Federation, National Association of Catering Executives, and the Society of Chaîne de Rôtisseurs. I believe there's some people on the Chaîne here that we've always wanted to get something going there. So I think once she gets her feet under her, we'd love to offer something like that here as well. And then we've hired a new sous chef with the designation of Certified Dietary Manager for the health center. And Ray joins us from Morse Life. He comes from a much bigger operation than what we're currently running down there, but his vision was he wanted to he was very interested in joining Compass and Unidyne. So he's transitioning over here. He'll be starting the first week in April. And so we look forward to having him there. For those of you that are a certified dietary manager is someone that has taken additional training courses, and they can do some, not necessarily charting, note-taking in the absence of a registered dietitian. So they can start that process off sooner. They've also had additional trainings in safety and sanitation in the kitchen and things like that. So really looking forward to having Ray join the team.
Do me a favor, give Rod's background so everybody also
can
know a little bit about the executive chef.
Yeah, so Rod joined us just recently. So his wife is in food and beverage as well. She's a food and beverage director at a resort down here in West Palm that's going to be opening shortly. It's the Banyan Cay Resort, which is opening in August. So she's done some high-end stuff up in Vero Beach as well. But so Rod moved down with her. He spent a number of years with an Axe community up there in Vero Beach. Is also with certain high-end clubs as well. When he was with the Axe team, he was the chairman of seafood for the Southeast region. His passion is fish. He loves it, and he loves teaching. He enjoys interacting with the residents and holding monthly interactive Meet the Chef demos. So I know he's already partnered with the mad scientist of Judy to put some events on for the residents. I know they got some stuff scheduled this month, some interactive demos, etc. And I'm sure they'll include some tastings as well. So that's Rod's background. I mentioned before that, we've been very responsive to requests. So as Jim mentioned, the comment cards are really, really important. We have to understand where we're at. And if you have concerns and you're, for whatever reason, fearful of writing it down, just put your name down, call me so we can reach out. Or if you have a concern, it's very frustrating to me. We get a comment card that says that something was terrible, but then there's no contact information. It helps me understand where the process is breaking down. So if I just hear something I didn't receive a fillet, I don't know if it was broken down between the server, the kitchen. It helps me find out where that chain got broken to solve it for the future. Okay. We've also started a new bag checking process for the to-goes in the effort to, improve consistency and accuracy with the to-goes. On an average, we're doing about 80 to-goes a night. And so if you think about that, each bag on the low end has 10 items in it. So that's 800 items we're touching at any given time. So while I hate to say there's a margin of error, unfortunately there is a margin of error. I'm trying to shrink that down. So we're requiring the person that fills the bag to mark the sheet down that they filled it. And then we have somebody that goes behind them and checks it to ensure. And so if you ever receive a delivery or a pickup that's not accurate, hold on to that ticket. And that lets me go back again and play detective to find out where did the system break down, right? Because if I start to see a pattern of a certain person that's not paying attention, whether it's a training issue or, a discussion possibly might have to take place with those folks. So I want to make sure that I use the analogy to my team. How do you feel if you go through a drive-through and you order a quarter pounder with cheese, a Diet Coke and French fries, and you pull away and you got a fillet of fish in the bag? They say, I'm really upset. I said, okay, now make yourself mid to late 80s and you've done everything right. You've placed your order, you've gone down, you picked it up, you bring it back home and it's wrong. Now how do you feel? So I try to put them in the position of a resident to understand what that must feel like. So please keep those tags if there's an issue with any of your orders. And lastly, this is probably the last resident meeting I'll be able to speak there, but I just wanted to thank you for your hospitality. My last day here will be March 31st. I've loved being here. I love being on the floor with each of you. I love seeing the way the program is moving forward. I don't want to stop that momentum. So when Courtney comes in next week, we're going to spend a lot of time with her on the things that we've already implemented and then how to keep the momentum going forward, because don't want to keep our foot off the gas. We just have to keep it moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. As you've noticed, we'll take questions at the end. Wait, there's a question for you, Chaz.
I was wondering, I think many of us are wondering, is Sailfish going to be opening again?
Jim?
Yeah, I'll take that.
The question was whether when will the Sailfish room be opening?
All right, yeah, the question is, when will the Sailfish room be opening? Fingers crossed, we get a few more team members in here through our open houses and so forth, and we'll get it open. I desperately want to get it open, but we have to make certain that it is staffed appropriately. All right, the worst thing we could do is have it understaffed and then you're not getting what you want, but that is highest priority.
Thank you. Please hold your questions till the end and we'll take them. As you probably noted, Bob Kaplan is not here today. He's taking care of a sick wife, but we hope both will be back in action next month. As you know, when you join the council, it's traditional that each member has a committee of their own to run. But also, for those of you who are new, we have a number of other committees, and they all depend on dedicated volunteers among our residents. We have a library committee. Jean Irwin also runs that, as well as her council committee. You'll hear later today from Howard Ehrlich, who runs our Flakewood committee. We also have a new committee that the council thought was very important to have a separate health center committee. That will be run by Melissa Stretch. You're all familiar, I think, with the Health and Welfare Committee. Nancy Flynn is graciously sticking with that. We hope that next month we'll have a more detailed report on all the activities of the Health and Welfare Committee. But one thing I do want to tell you, one of their, I think, great coups so far is that they've lured Dr. Isaacson, the new FAU neurology professor and probably one of the world's foremost experts on Alzheimer's. His thing is not the treatment of Alzheimer's, but he's had many grants and done a lot of research on how to prevent Alzheimer's. So I hope all of you put that on your calendar for the end of this month. I think what he has to say is going to be of great interest to all of us. There are obviously a number of things we can do, and we may or may not know about them at this point, but hopefully Dr. Isaacson will fill us in on that. We also have an art committee that Marilyn Honig is the chairperson. And I want to talk about that for a moment because as you walk through the residential corridors, you see a lot of paintings hung up. That is a tribute really to Janice Cooper and her late husband Harold, who came up with the idea that we didn't need to look at all these blank walls, and that it would be nice to have some art to brighten it up. They collected a number of paintings and they hung them themselves. This was some years back before Jim Horsman was here. And for the most part, that has worked well. However, I think we've lost a little bit of our courtesy because we now have residents who feel that they can take it upon themselves to simply hang up whatever they wish, and that they can remove art that they don't like. Some of that art has been gifted to Harbor's Edge, but an awful lot of it is on loan. And to say that it's extremely rude to just pull somebody's art down, I think is maybe an understatement. But I'm hoping that everyone here will spread the word that we do have some rules. First of all, any art on the first floor, other than our own resident art gallery across from the library, any art on the first floor, any art in the concierge level, and any art on the lobbies of the central elevators cannot be changed. Please do not take anything down, as some people have done, without getting approval either from Jim Horsman or a lot of our paintings have been done, have been approved in many years back because of Judy Stauffer's tremendous support. But at this point, none of that art should be taken down without Jim's approval. Worst, some of that art that has been taken down was on loan from residents, and the resident hasn't been informed on what happened to that art. So please, a little courtesy. If you want to put anything up on any of the resident walls, please get Marilyn Honig to take a look at it so that we have some kind of standard involved. So the basic word is let's have a little more respect for our residents who have been kind enough to loan us or give us art. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to turn to Jean Irwin and the House and Services Committee.
We are identifying areas in the building and on the grounds that need attention. You'll probably notice that some of the hedges have been cut way down. This is because they are flowering hedges, and they're not going to flower if we're always cutting them on the top. We have to cut them down, let them grow up a little bit so that we can have the flowers and they don't get too tall. So be patient. Thank you.
Nina Ehrlich will give the new resident committee report.
Okay, good morning. Our newest residents are Ann Alexander, who moved into 258, Bobby Brown in 301, and Carol and Stuart Potter, who moved into 320. And Carol is sitting in the back row in a vibrant green shirt. Thank you.
That's the one you met. That's the one you met. Is that who you met? No.
So I'll call on Sue Ribbon for the Activities Committee report.
Good morning. Attending the meeting with me was Judy Stauffer, Linda Rosenkrantz, June Davis, Gloria Weiner, and Ron Schwartz, president of the council, joined us. We spoke about line dancing, and there's a resident that talked about maybe teaching or leading. We'll discuss it further in the future. We discussed having tournaments like bocce, pool, ping pong, and may put one on the calendar for April to see how many people partake in the event. There was a review of other topics such as having a walking path around the buildings. It's still in the possibilities category. A suggestion was made to have a men's group develop with possibility of lectures, movie, or discussion group. It's also for the future at the moment. Special note, it's very important that everybody reads the newsletter, because if you don't and you don't keep tabs on the activities, you'll really miss out. A lot of work goes into making activities for everyone to enjoy, and if you don't partake in them, we all lose out. The meeting adjourned at 11:15. Respectfully submitted, Sue Ribbon.
Thank you. Call on Linda Rosenkrantz to discuss the foundation.
We had our first meeting of the Foundation Committee on February 21st. We have met with Nancy Wolf, who is the Vice President of Philanthropy for Life Space Communities, and I met with her several times a few weeks ago when she was here, and she's trying to be very helpful to the committee. One area that we need help from Life Space is getting monthly statements. Thanks today for helping me. But so far, I've had statements from 6 months ago, but today you helped me get one that was from December, so that's better. We had $221,569. We got 2 applications from the staff for scholarships. Our foundation committee approved both of those applications, and we're waiting approval from Life Space to finalize it. We want to thank Susanna Smith for the beautiful sculpture that she donated from her nephew, Michael Varga. We had a wonderful event February 22nd to celebrate the installation. We received many donations this past month. Many of them were in memory of Galen Larson. Susan Burden has been working on having a wonderful concert and reception in Galen's memory on April 11th. We hope to see you all there. We're planning to meet with Wendy from Human Resources to see if there are other ways that we can help team members besides the scholarship program. We were looking for new projects, so if anybody has any ideas, please let us know. One suggestion we had was a walking path around the area here, because many people like to walk and don't like walking where the cars are coming or the trucks. So we decided to do that, and I walked together with Sue Reben, and I met with Chris, and we're working on that. So we welcome your ideas, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I call on Evie Weiss and the Rules and Regulations Committee.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Our meeting yesterday was very, very fruitful. We voted on our mission statement and the no smoking policy. We also had management with us, and we looked at the consequences for people people that are still smoking. The management is calling the families of the smokers, and also an air cleaner will be put in the smoker's apartment at their cost. And if an apartment next door to them needs one, they will also pay the cost. Chris also ordered the signs for our no smoking community, and they will be put up throughout the area very soon. Right, Chris? I can't.
Signs came in today.
They come in as we speak. They are arriving. Now, we started the pet policy. Before we got into the actual pet policy that was written by LifeSpace as well as from Harbor's Edge, there were some questions that we as a committee needed to ask. And the questions are as follows. The number of dogs at Harbor's Edge. There are, as of March 7th, 15 dogs, 10 dogs in the north building and 5 dogs in the south building. There are also, another question was what is required, what record keeping needs to be required. They must have, all pet owners must have yearly vaccination reports and licensing registration, and that must be seen by the executive director and Val. Another question was asked, the charge for pets. It was a $1,000 deposit, which was non-refundable. That was questionable, and we need more evidence or more proof on that one. The size of dogs was also discussed. The number of pets allowed was decided to be 1 per unit, and the rules for guest pets. Guest pets will be treated the same as owner's pets in the building. All rules must be followed. All guest pets must be vaccinated and have a license, and pets are not allowed to stay with owners without the guests being there. Those are some of the things we were working on. We started to look at the pet policy. We decided to table that for till next meeting, and we did come up with asking management what they will do to help us support the pet policy. Management is very, very willing to help us very much with support, with monitoring residents with dog, and enforcing the pet policy. However, we as residents have to be aware also, if we see something and you feel that someone is doing something wrong, for instance, I don't want to get into the actual where pets can be and cannot be at this meeting because we have to clarify that. But one thing in general, pets are not allowed to be near food. So please, if you see someone with one and the person, truly pet owner, might have forgotten, just remind them and report it to management. I don't want, you don't have to be guards, but let's use our common sense and clarity. And on our committee, we do have 2 pet owners, and they are as voiceful as can. We listen to everything they say. And what we're trying to do is live in a very community of lovingness and just living together. And in order to do that, we really have to observe rules and regulations. So I thank you, and I hope for your support.
Thank you. Call on Jenny Salas for the culinary committee report.
We decided that for the next year, our goals would be, 1, to work to hear fewer complaints about the dining room, to share information, create good lines of communication, to educate in as many ways as we can, and to recreate the exceptional dining experience Harbor's Edge is known for. There was an issue of coffee and cookies on the mezzanine that had been stopped because of COVID. It now is back in place. Delivery orders have not been accurate. We heard Chaz talking about how that's being corrected. Chaz also brought up, we heard you system where the comment cards are collected. He told you all about that. It's really important to fill in the comment cards and put your name on them so that people can follow up and make sure things are resolved. Univine, Chaz also said that Unidine is planning more engagement activities. When these occur, please give feedback on them. There'll soon be a contest, he said, using comment cards to give awards to servers. They've re-added Benson salad and Shirley salad to the menu. Soup is now available with or without salt. You gotta let your server know what you want, and you need to let your server know what you want repeatedly until it gets into people's memories. Chaz was also talking about the fact that they have to spread us out coming into the dining room so the dining room doesn't get overwhelmed. And when you run into problems getting a reservation at a certain time, that's because they have to limit the number of people that come in at the same time. And they're working on smoothing that out. Once we get the sailfish open, that will help a lot more with that, I think. Also, they're asking that we leave our table within an hour and a half. That is, of course, assuming you've been served, so that the next group can come in. We're still moving towards an open table reservation system. I do not know when that's going to happen, but I hope it happens soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And now Glad Stretch will bring us up to date on our finances.
Good morning. The Finance Committee is composed of Maxine Adler, Robert Cummins, Nancy Flynn, who is returning, Victor Herbert, Ron Schwartz, our president, with Jim Horstman and Beverly Carino as resources. Financially, Harbor's Edge is off to an adequate start in 2002. And remember, I'm reporting on January, even though this is March. January was fine from a revenue standpoint. The challenge was that we still have staffing challenges, not only in culinary and in the servers, but also at the health center with the healthcare providers, RNs, LPNs, aides, and things of that sort. And each time that happens when there's a shortage, you either have to pay someone overtime, which is time and a half, or you have to bring in a contract person to cover that shift, which usually costs more than time and a half. So that was why I say adequate. We're still paying out more than we would like to in terms of the extra help. On to another subject. We've entered a period of change in LifeSpace's method of reporting financial information to the Finance Committee. This may change the ways we're able to provide information to you in the future. We started working on it. Hopefully we'll have that resolved within the next month or two. One of the things that Ron touched on in my absence last month was the bonding that we had done. And one of the things that's required for that, and one of the things that the state of Florida requires, is something called a future service obligation. This is an analysis that actually is a series of actuarial calculations performed by an outside firm to determine the financial capability of Harbor's Edge to meet the needs of its residents over the next 20 years. The conclusion of the study is that Harbor's Edge is in adequate financial condition to meet its obligations. Risks may include, however, and this is their boilerplate stuff, higher apartment vacancy rates than they figured, higher expense inflation, higher nursing care utilization, and longer life expectancies than have been assumed. And I have to editorialize here a little bit in that when they did this calculation, they figured that inflation was going to be at about 3%. And if you've been to the gas station, if you've been to the food store, or if you've watched TV news, you know that inflation is nowhere near 3% right now. It doesn't necessarily threaten our future, but it does mean that we may see another increase come November, similar to the one we got this last year. End of the editorial comment. A similar study was performed, as I started to mention before, relative to the bonds on the 11 communities that compose the obligated group who were bonded, and that basically demonstrated similar results. As far as our statistics, Our average independent living census in January was 235 residents, which was at 88.3%. This sort of wowed me. There were 14,594 meals provided to residents and guests. This included roughly 1,200 guests and 1,000 catered meals. We have 416 days of cash on hand not held in reserve. The reason why I'm emphasizing the not is this is part of the change in the reporting. In the past, I would get a breakdown of what our total reserve was, and then we had to, what our total cash on hand was, but then we had to specify certain segments where we held it in reserve in case we needed it. As I looked at it, it's all there. If we need it, we'll be able to use it, but they're not reporting it now, so that's why our number has gone down to the 416 days. It still gives us about 14 months to pay our bills and still have all those reserves. So it's not something that should be that painful. And with that, I will pass it back to Ron. Thank you.
Thank you, Clyde. Colin Howard Ehrlich has a flight crew report.
Good morning. Just want to tell you that tomorrow, thanks to Diane Haynes, we're having Winnie Edwards, who's the executive director of the Delray Beach Historical Society here. And she's going to tell us about the history of Delray Beach. And she happens to be one of the descendants of the founders. So it's 4 o'clock here. And thanks to Judy, we'll have wine and cheese afterwards. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? All right. Yes.
One second.
Wait, one.
On the reporting, the one about the dog in the dining room. There was a dog in the dining room this week. Spoke to the young lady who was in charge, and she said it's a pet dog, service dog. I don't know how she knew it, but obviously if you have the service dog, you can bring it into the dining room.
Right at the moment, we'll wait for next month for the report, but at the moment, we have no service dogs here. And 2, no dog, no cat, no fish, no animal that belongs or is strayed in is allowed anywhere near food. If there's been a violation, please call it to immediate attention of Lenore or whoever is in charge, and we'll deal with it.
They didn't deal with it.
Well,
That's what I'm talking about.
with a guest, they either have to remove the dog. They have to do that. And if they don't, then we'll have to say they're not welcome in
But
that room.
who's ever in charge of the dining room ought to know what the orders are.
I wasn't there,
Jim, do you want to answer that?
Sure.
All right, as it stands right now in the state of Florida, if it is a certified service dog, they can go anywhere. They can go in the restaurant and so forth, all right? We've actually asked legal to give us an opinion on what we're allowed to ask, because as of a year ago, there are only 2 questions you can ask, and that's it. And you can't sit there and say, well, I want to see the certification, all right? So once we get a reading on that, then we know exactly what we can legally ask as it relates to a service dog. And there's a difference between a service dog and
Emotional therapy.
an emotional therapy dog. An emotional therapy dog, all right, is not allowed
Doesn't count.
anywhere where there's food and beverage being served. An emotional therapy dog cannot lounge out by the pool, enjoy drinks or whatever, all right? It's the same regulations as we have for any pet dog. I hope that answers your question.
my question was, there's nobody who follows through on what's to be done. And if you don't have somebody who has the authority to do something about it, it doesn't.
Okay, they have, again, let me say it so that I didn't come across clearly. Let me stand in front of the camera here, okay. If somebody comes in and it is a service dog, it can come in, all right? All right, it can be in the restaurant, all right? That is state mandate. If the dog is a therapy dog, it cannot come in. And what we're getting is clarification on, because they're very specific as far as what you're allowed to ask and what you're not allowed to ask as relates to it.
I have experience.
I have a lot of court experience with this case. All right. You can ask to see the dog's qualification. If it is a true service dog, every service dog owner has a card, a government card that defines that it is a service dog, not a therapy dog that you can get on the internet for $200.
Or less.
Yeah.
All right. And so
Close.
almost. So all we're doing is getting a legal opinion to make sure that everything is up to speed on that.
Okay, so it's not the responsibility of the person who's in charge of the dining room to ask for proof.
Yes, it is.
They can do that.
They can do that. What we want to make certain of, all right, because there are all sorts of rights as it relates to all of these things. We want to make certain that whatever it is they're asking from a legal perspective, they're allowed to ask. Once I get clarification on that, all right, those are the questions that will be asked and the rules will be enforced.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I have another question.
You only get one.
Actually, I have several questions, but I'm obviously not going to go through all of them. The one is that the billing system is not consistent with our Harbor's Edge billing process. I always get billed for guest dinners, and then they say, oh yeah, that's right, you have a lot of to compensate for it. They don't know what they're talking about. And I'm at the point now where I just won't pay a bill unless it's correct. And maybe they don't know about it in Central Place. And the last thing is, I can understand that the maintenance department is overwhelmed with the number of requests. But there's no follow through of any kind that once I've made a request, what they're going to do. They show up, they do a couple of things, they leave, and they don't fix a problem, and we never see them again. So there's got to be better communication between maintenance and the resident. Thank you very much.
Jim, could we ask people to identify themselves when they're asking questions?
Yeah,
I'm Nick D'Agostino.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And
It's fine to have a lot of rules, but when we move in here, we should be given some printed information regarding what those rules are. I live here since last May, and there's a lot of things that I really never was ever told about. I just learn about them as the days go by.
Well, I think that's a legitimate concern, and one response that the council has talked about is for the very first time, we organized a committee to deal with the rules and regulations. Some of the rules that we haven't been enforced. Some of the rules are not well understood, and some don't exist.
Everyone got, when you moved in, a book, a big, thick book. In that book are all the rules. That's why this committee was started, because no one read them. We are, as a committee, what we're trying to do is educate our residents on the rules. If you have the app on your phone, a Harbor's Edge app, and when you first put it on, there is in the table of contents are the rules. You'll have it says the handbook, and go right to that, and it lists every rule that we have. You also were supposed to be told when you did come in people with a dog, or there was definitely a no smoking policy. All of that was hopefully told to you during your interview when you signed in. You know, when you came in and you supposedly signed something that you read the rule. They were always there. This is not new. So Phyllis, seriously, look, and you have a handbook, a big handbook.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, when you first moved in here, there is so much going on that unless somebody specifically tells you at the interview that there are rules in the book, please look them over. You don't do it.
What
The
we're
book
trying
is this thick.
Okay, what we're trying to do, after we get this all edited and rewritten and put up to date, we are going to try to have a committee of two people, meet with new owners when they come in and just go over the basic rules of living together in this.
Good idea. That's a very good idea.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's
our
right.
goal.
And also, there are rules that are specific to Harbor's Edge, all right? You know, when you see this boilerplate rules and regulations, all right, that's sent out to all the communities, all right? Each community is unique, and that's why the executive director, hold on a second, there we go. Hi, everybody. All right, that is why the executive director, all right, is able to customize certain rules, certain regulations, certain things to fit our Harbor's Edge community. And we do that in conjunction with every one of these committees. All right, it's not done in a vacuum, but I think once we get rules and once we get the regulations solidified for Harbor's Edge, sitting down with new residents and also educating residents that have been here on everything is important, because you're right. You know, when I sit on those closings and we talk about rules and this and that, you're not going to remember everything. You got 900 other things going on. All right. So, we can't expect people to remember every single thing. So.
I have another item I'd like to
We
ask
spent a
you
lot of
about.
money on doing that, there's a booklet. No, not the booklet that she's talking about, after people come in. But you're talking to people who came in a long time ago and not the brand new.
Yeah, there is another, see, this is where it gets confusing, all right? Because we've got multiple booklets. When we started looking at the dog policy, we'll just use that as an example. There were, three different, you had what's in the, you had an SOP, an internal SOP. Life space wise. You had what's in the contractual agreement, then you had the LSOP, local SOP, that was specific to Harbor's Edge. It's confusing, all right? I mean, how is anyone, including myself, going to know every single little nuance? So that's why we have the committee, we go through and review all these things so that we can be consistent in what we're saying, and cohesive in what we're saying.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the reservations in the dining room. We're told that you have to call at 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock you try getting through. Okay, then they tell you to leave a message. I don't think anybody ever reads the message.
Right.
Okay, so when you finally get through, then they finally tell you that there are no tables available. Something has to be done regarding the reservations to the dining room.
Jazz, do you want to?
Stand in front of the camera.
Good morning again. As far as the reservations, that's exactly why we're working with the open table to eliminate the phone process that's in place. Because what happens is, while we set the rules to say 9 o'clock, what happens, there's people that are waiting downstairs at 8:30, and they're trying to book at 8:30, trust me. And so while people are trying to call through the line to get a reservation, those that are at the front desk already are getting those all gobbled up ahead of time. And I apologize for that. That's why we've recognized this challenge, and we're going to be flipping over to the Open Table app for you to be able to make reservations. When we do that, we're also going to eliminate the 2-day maximum that you can book out, which is a little ridiculous as well. I think what happens is people call in the morning, they don't get through, they are upset, they come in the dining room now 8 hours later, rightfully upset. I get it. And that's why we're looking to change the process. It doesn't work. Oh, so Judy and I will have some dates on the calendar by tomorrow from trainings that will be starting next week, hopefully. It's along with the open table team that's going to provide us some of the trainings because we have to get all the residents up to speed on the process of doing these reservations.
On the app.
How will your opening policy work?
So when I say open table, so open table is a digital platform that manages the reservations. And so you'll go online, you'll have an account and you'll just log in, you'll book the number of people you want at what time. And as long as there's a table available, it will give you that reservation. The same way that there's an app on a lot of folks' phones that right now, if I wanted to book a reservation for any restaurant that participates with Open Table right now, and I said I wanted to book a table for 6 people tonight at 5:30, the app manages the inventory of tables that are at that restaurant, and it'll say, I'm sorry, all the tables are booked at 5:30. I can offer you a 6 o'clock, a 6:30, a 4 o'clock, whatever is available to fill in.
How far in advance?
Well, and that's why we're going to be doing the training. So we're going to be setting up, so we're going to have a tablet available on the side for people. It'll be a one touch. Hit the tablet, it'll take you to the website, log in, make your reservation.
My question is, how far in advance would you be calling this open table? Is it all done that same day, or you do it in advance?
Yeah, so you can do it in advance. So if you want to book a reservation for next Wednesday evening, you could book that reservation. Yes, you could. Yeah, yes, you could.
Can we leave this discussion because there are a lot of questions about a system that we don't have at the moment. And we wait until we have more definite plans. Otherwise, we're going to spend all day here and we're not going to be satisfied. All right? The idea is simple. There's an acknowledgement by Unidyne and management and every resident in the place that the system sucks, right?
Yes.
That's the kind way. It sucks. And Unidyne inherited the system, which was devised by another group, which didn't do a good job. All right? Let's leave it for now. He's got it. He understands what the problems are. And when we're ready to give you a solution, I think we'll be ready. All right? We know what the problem is, but to debate a system that we don't have is really kind of a waste at this point. Any other questions that are not on this issue?
Well, with that issue you people are talking about, I'm talking Unidyne. How about the people that can't use a computer? How about people that are unable to make a appointment or a reservation? We got a lot of them here. How do they eat?
Well, at the moment, Chaz has told you he recognizes that, and I'm hoping that when we're ready to talk about a system, we recognize that not every one of us are computer nerds, and also that some people just can't leave their apartment. I don't know the answer, and I just think that as long as we come up with a program that acknowledges all the obstacles, we'll be ahead of where we are now. Where we are now is terrible. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Sadly, Chaz is leaving us, so we have to hope that that person who's coming in will get to work right on this, because it isn't necessarily food quality that's driving everybody nuts. It's trying to get a table that's doing it, and we got to fix it. All right, Marion?
On a safety issue, I know we've all had problems entering and exiting Harbor's Edge, and I'm wondering if there's been any efforts to see about getting a traffic light installed.
Jim?
We actually, oh, yes, okay. Actually, I think Ron and I started on this path, what, 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, trying to see what we could do, all right, and trying to see what we could do to get the state, the county, the city, anybody to put a traffic light up. And we we were faced with strong resistance from everyone, and we got a lot of this. All right. And so we bring it up every now and then. All right. And we still get the same resistance. Who asked the question, by the way? Okay. We still get the same resistance. All right. Nobody wants, and this is, I'm going to say something that's blunt. All right. Unfortunately, all right, and it's going to probably take, and I hate to say this, it's going to take a dramatic accident to get the city and the state and the county to act on this, as has happened in front of other communities. But Howard was a part of that too. And, you know, we haven't let it go, but we have been absolutely stonewalled. Now, on a positive note, one of the things we were able to get done was, you know, the developer that owns the shopping center directly across from the community and the one that's behind that, all right, has been able to get the street changed, all right, as far as entrance and exit, so that we can limit the amount of vehicles coming out, all right by the Broken Egg, all right, coming out to make their turns. Does it solve the problem? No. Does it lessen it a little bit? Maybe. They're not done with everything that they have to do, but we were able to get that at least accomplished.
All right, it's 11 o'clock. We normally quit at this time. I asked the council to stay here and take any questions. I just have one information piece on that. Jim, and through great effort, tried to get our local state representative, Representative Caruso, to help us, and he was very helpful. What I need to tell you is, he's not going to be your representative anymore. The state has rearranged all of the Delray area. Instead of one representative, there will now be 3. And they used to have a nice gerrymandered district that went along the intercoastal, very long and very conservative. Yes. So that was a good district for a good Republican, and that was a very useful thing with our state legislature. We will now be in a district where we go from the ocean to Military Trail, and we will have, and it's remarkably very democratic area. So we'll see, but we will have to take this up with a new state representative. Career in Washington, D.C. So this is a classic Washington problem. We have a city street, we have a state street, and we have a county street. They all intersect right at Harbor's Edge, okay? If you want to prescribe a screwed up mess, you got it. Thank you very much. We'll be here to answer any questions you have.
They're actually designing it right now.